right there. All right, so we're going to talk a little more about the Book of Knowledge and J.J. Hertock's seventh key. I got that all hosed up. Let me reintroduce that to you. We're going to revisit J.J. Hertock's Book of Knowledge, Keys of Enoch, and we're going to pick up with the seventh key. We closed out the sixth key a while ago. And I think that was something more along the lines of you have to experience things. You just can't collect it and mull it about, but you have to experience things. And in the seventh key is about, well, it opens with this. Refers to Metatron, who receives us as we go through the gates of Orion from this sun universe into the Father universe of the Elohim Creators. So I'm thinking to myself, who is Metatron? And, you know, I've got this all laid out, got my highlights and everything that I want to talk about. But I think there's more food for us in this little bit here, because I went looking to see just what Metatron was. And Metatron is mentioned in the Kabbalah. Specifically, is referenced in the, well, Adolfe Franck tells us that it's referenced in the Jerusalem or Babylonian Talmud. So you've got two different tribes here. Just like they were split up in the Old Testament, the Hebrews, you know, you've got the ones, the lower ones and the higher ones, and that's geographically speaking. It's not anything to do with spirituality or anything. It's just like you had Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, but it was still Egypt before it was unified. But here, the Hebrew people had separated themselves for whatever reason, and that's not our purpose. But that explains why you've got the Jerusalem or the Babylonian Talmud. So anyway, they speak of a man named Elishah ben Abuah, who is referred to as Aher, which was a name given to him after entering the Garden of Delight. Now, as the story goes, there were three of them that went into this Garden of Delight. Each of them had a different experience. But the one Aher experienced is more interesting, because he writes that upon entering the garden, he ravaged the plantations. Plantations, well, probably refers to fields, because when I see this word plantations, I think of the South during the time of slavery, when they had these grand plantations, and it was agriculture. So we're not talking about slavery or anything like that, but we're talking about this whole idea of agriculture and plants. Plants in general represent renewal. Mostly because they seem to die off in the fall and show back up in the spring, provided we get the rains. And he ravaged the plantations. He ravaged the fields. And as I said earlier, plants typically represent renewal. When you read about them, or when you experience them in your cards or in your meditations or messages or anything like that, plants in general are going to represent renewal. So he ravaged the plantations. In other words, he went insane. So
how do you get that?
What do you mean, how do you get that?
But of course, to me, it doesn't make sense, you know how literal I am.
Yeah,
For a wise man to go into a field and destroy the crops. I guess that would be insanity. Someone normally perceived as saying to do something so out of character.
now, move from the literal to the representation. Now, I just told you, plants in general represent renewal.
Didn't want to renew.
It's not that he didn't want to renew, okay? Plants represent renewal in general. In order to become renewed, something has to die, or you have to let go of something. So when he was said to ravage these plants, ravage the plantations, and they thought that he was insane, he was purging himself, or may have been, I shouldn't say he was, but he may have been purging himself of certain teachings. Now, if we take it from that perspective, what might that suggest? Any thoughts, Sandy?
Well, just like just furthering, like you said, like letting go of the old to start the new, and the circle of life, I guess, that circle of death and renewal. That's what I was thinking. And the cycle. Mhm.
You're on the right track. Ken, yes.
I can do a short dissertation here on that.
All right. We love your short dissertation.
Yeah, they go on forever right now. Quit with the short reels. When I moved to Lakeville, that put me right in the middle of the cornfield and farming, things I was not used to. But I saw farmers plant in the fall, and they're planting what they call a cover crop. And you see it come up in the spring. And it reaches a certain height, it looks very verdant, it looks like a good crop, and then they come in with the big tractors and plow it all under. That's for the fertilizer, it enriches the soil, and it gives you a better crop than the plant right on top of it after you plow it back in the crop. So that's what a cover crop is all about. I thought they were really dumb when I first saw it, and they're not harvesting it, they're plowing it back in the ground, but it enriches the soil.
Oh, very good.
Was good, was
That's
Yeah.
really
it?
good.
It was good.
Good analogy.
Yeah,
Good analogy.
Want to write a book?
do that.
Let me know. Let me know. So the idea here is that he went into this field because they say that he became insane after entering the garden, becoming a person who led a scandalous life that betrayed his faith. Living a life that betrayed his faith. So what's that tell you?
That he began living himself genuinely rather than living the life he's taught by his elders, by his community. That he took it all away, him and his own life.
Absolutely. Do you have any thoughts, Heidi? You don't mind my calling upon you? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
No, they're really thoughts. I guess I can relate to that person a lot with this. My family on my mother's side has never been very I would say kind or supportive of anything. And that's something that I really come to just have to accept, in my teen years all the way from now. And they disapproved of my coming to the state and, staying as family, and basically they're going to be a pretty hard time for not living up to their expectations of what they want to do. Everything else, and frankly, it's their problem, it's their expectations, it's what they want for themselves. And I'm pretty much used to being disappointed, so kind of just accepted that I have to put it away for them.
Very good. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have the expectations, what somebody else wants you to be.
And sometimes obviously find a family of choice.
That's really what I've been trying to find the safest for us, probably 4 years, 5 years. And I thought that was where I was at, and it turns out, that wasn't it. Actually injured right now from being there. Early on. And leaving was not easy because I worked very hard as a kid, living in the city and having to live there. But sometimes you really have to do something that I would grow. Fortunately, that was where I thought I needed to be, and I was wrong. I mean, I guess I wasn't wrong. It got me experiences, it got me the job experience. It got me the experience living in the city where I always wanted to live in. You have to choose your safety and health over other things sometimes.
Absolutely. Experience I've had, I just called them previous lives. And had just here in this present life.
Yeah, it is.
It was like shutting the door and looking for the next door. And sometimes finding and walking through the door is really easy, and sometimes it's really hard.
One door closes, another one opens. You don't always see it right away. There's truth in that.
Most important thing that she said was what she didn't say. She didn't say she'd made a mistake. She said those were experiences.
Yeah, I caught that.
And that's very important. It's very important because we all do things for a reason. It's like Aher, when he went into this garden of delight, he ravaged the plants and everything. He was purging himself. It wasn't that the life he had lived was wrong, but it was no longer suitable for him. So it was time to renew himself. And upon renewal, sometimes there is something in the New Testament, I don't exactly know where, but in it, Jesus says somewhere along those lines that people will no longer know you. They will no longer recognize you. And that's right here. They say he became insane because they no longer recognized him, because he had become someone different. And sometimes that's what happens. We're in this garden of delight. Our life, as it is a garden. And it's our garden. It's our delight. It's our fun. Woo! And it's good. But sometimes it's time for a change. And that time for a change is always something that comes from the outside. Always something that comes from the outside. And it causes us to stop, to look around. And as we look around and begin to reflect, when you see windows, it's a time to reflect because we sit at the window and think, reflect. And it's during that time that we discover it's time to get rid of it. Tear it up. Tear it apart. Just get rid of it. And do something different. Sometimes when we do something different, it's so radical that we appear to be insane.
Mhm.
Yeah. Maybe.
And it's a good thing. Of course, it's a scary thing, but it's a good thing because when everybody else says that we're crazy, it's a sign to us that we're actually evolving. We are progressing along our path. Our awareness is beginning to expand. Not necessarily that we can relate, but because we start thinking. And that's the thing that was happening with Aher, was that he was in a place where he didn't have to think. The interesting thing about our contemporary religions, did I get that word right, contemporary? Sometimes I get my R's all right. But contemporary religion teaches us to all be like this. And when we are no longer like this, and we begin to be like this, well, then we are a problem. But we're a problem for them. I think I posted something on our Facebook page, and it could have been recently, it could have been a while ago, that enlightened people are a threat, are a danger to institutions because the institutions are stuck with this. And that's what Aher discovered when he entered the Garden of Delight, that everything was perfect. And you know how the alchemists view perfection?
Well, probably something needs to be changed. Since they're all about change.
Close, but you're on the right track. You're on the right track. They view perfection as a never-ending endeavor.
I know.
Does that sound like something else?
Mhm.
Evolution is what? Growth is what? Anybody.
Always independent, always changing.
Exactly. Always changing. It's never ending. I had a conversation with someone just the other day about reincarnation. Or maybe I didn't have a conversation with someone the other day, but I was working on next week's lesson since I'm the one speaking this month. But anyway, in it, I commented that reincarnation is something that is natural. And that all these people who are trying to find ways to get out of this birth, death, rebirth cycle are crazy. And why are they crazy? Because what does nature do? What do plants represent in general? Anybody? Growth. And die in the winter.
Renewal.
Come back, renewal. Exactly. Resurgence. That is next week's lesson. I'm giving you a preview. I better be quiet before I just blow it and have to write everything all over, something different altogether. So that's the nice thing about this little story here. And it also reads that Aher gazed into the night skies and saw Metatron, sometimes called the lesser Yahweh, suggesting there are two great powers. Now, this last sentence, I don't have to go through all my highlights and everything, because this last sentence really, really says everything. He gazed into the night skies and saw Metatron, sometimes called the lesser Yahweh, or the lesser God. Now, what does that evoke? And I'll start with Sandy this time.
You started her last time.
I started-
He's picking on you.
Oh, if I started with you last time, never mind. I'll start with Ken. Give you a chance, because he's playing with his phone. He's ignoring me anyway.
What does it evoke that the saying saw the lesser Metatron, the lesser Jehovah? But when he looked up the sky, what does that evoke for you, that imagery?
Oh, when Metatron looked up into the sky,
No, no. Here, let me rephrase it for you, since you put your phone away.
I did. I thought this is impolite, but we all have our levels of importance.
Well, that's true, and I have no problems intruding upon yours.
I thought it could wait for later. No, this one can't wait for me. Help me.
Ah. So, he gazed up into the night skies. And just to give you an idea of why he was gazing into the night skies, he saw the constellation of Orion. And Metatron has something to do with that, because of the bright stars. I think there's 4 of them. I don't know, maybe 6 of them. I don't know. But there's some bright stars in bright bluish white. And anyway, he gazed into the night sky and he saw Metatron, sometimes called the lesser Yahweh, or the lesser God, suggesting there are two great powers. So, what are your thoughts about that? What does that evoke? And if nothing comes to mind, that's fine. You can leave it at that. I won't push too much.
So there are two real powers.
2 general powers. 2 great powers, that's it.
Guess for me, it kind of works just the option of there's more than one choice in life.
That's good. There's always more than one choice.
So to consider the different perspectives, different options. Maybe it was kind of keep going life and not being so much in like tunnel vision, allowing you to get information.
Which is important. Everything is based on pairs or duality. Duality is stuck with pairs, but we're drifting a little bit. But that's good. That's good. You've got the right idea. You're on the right track.
Yeah, the duality was good. That's sort of what I thought, but I didn't want to say it because it sounded too simple. But that's, sort of the nuclear theory too, where you've got atoms and they are separated by millions of light years, by millions of light years. But your attention, as you focus on that, changes everything. How can I say this? Things are the way you view them. It takes an observer to have an experience. Oh my God. To influence, your attention influences how you see things. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. It's the new physics. It's hard to understand. But you have to have some background on that too. Things are the way you see them. Your influence changes things. Your
Right.
attention changes.
Correct.
How am I doing?
You're doing good. I mean, that's the general gist of quantum mechanics.
Right,
Right. The very observation
right.
influences the outcome. And the law of attraction that they teach is based on that concept.
That's what makes thoughts so powerful and makes your thoughts important.
Precisely.
I redeem myself.
Ah,
Three thumbs up.
so two great powers. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Gnostic teachings, yes? I know Ken is.
Getting there.
Getting there, okay, okay. Heidi? No? Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Sandy?
Only what you teach,
Ah.
right, Sandy?
Reverend Philip, I think you have to kind of qualify that by saying, when you say Gnostic teachings, you have to sort of see that Gnostic, Gnostic. Because that word gets confused with other words and people don't know what you're talking. Gnostic teachings.
The word. Where's that logos? I get that confused. Gnostic teachings is typically the divine teachings. And in Gnostic teachings, there are two realms. There are two realms. There is the realm of the absolute, and then there is what they call the pleroma.
Pleroma?
Yeah, and I could be pronouncing it incorrectly. I have that nasty habit of mispronouncing words. Or demiurge. I don't know. That one I know I'm mispronouncing. But the idea with that is that there is the divine realm, which is that of the absolute, or in Hertock's writings, the Father Universe. And then there is the physical realm, the pleroma, or the Sun Universe, which is a reflection of the divine.
See, if you had asked me my opinion, I would have used the reflection analogy. But you didn't.
I'm sorry. You want to smack my
You
hand?
missed a great insight on my hand.
But that's what this whole thing is all about. These two realms. These two realms. One being a reflection of the other. Now, energetically, we refer to these as being active and receptive. So there's lots of applications for this. They also call it male and female. But when they use the gender terms, it seems like everything gets lost in translation. So I'm not going to do that. But they've got these two. Now, the Father Universe, the Elohim Creators. The Father Universe is this up here, or the soul realm. And notice, Elohim Creators, plural. Remember in Genesis, lo, he has become like one of us, plural. There's more than one. And Moses Hall, in his Encyclopedia of Biblical Spiritualism, says that Yahweh was one of many that communicated with the Hebrews. And we're not going to go into all of that. But this whole idea of Metatron is, since I bypassed a lot of my notes here, is about the passage from here and there being of intense lights. Now, Reverend Thomas talked about this previously when he discussed Owen Waters' densities. It's the same concept, the same idea applied differently. Now, those of you who are here for our meditation, during your meditation, did you experience lights, colors, or was it just black?
I was experienced feelings, so
Okay,
I was not focusing on color, which is kind of unusual for me, because I usually see the colors,
okay,
or see some colors.
all right. Did you meditate any, Ken, or were you watching the pictures? If you were watching the pictures, that's okay. I put them there specifically for you.
I was not getting deep.
Okay, that's right. That's right. You said that you said you didn't resonate. I apologize.
Overshadowed by the relative light. What you're talking about, the two poles, I've talked about quite a bit. It's called absolute and relative.
Yeah,
It's the
same thing.
It's the same thing.
Same thing, different
Same thing.
terms.
Hindus, or Hindus, Orientals, talk about the ground of all being. That's what they mean by the absolute, the ground of all being. Right,
Which is mind,
yes.
which most people are not ready to handle yet.
No, they're not. If you try to explain it to them, then they can't understand.
Yeah. How about you, Sandy? When you were meditating, did you see any colors? Did you experience any colors?
I didn't. I was focusing on the waves and the soothing nature of the waves. So I would have to say the absence of color rather than seeing blackness, but I just focused. I just love the soothing nature of the sound of water, of waves. So that's kind of what I focused on. It was very nice.
Okay. Well, I won't delve into it too much then. How about when we go to sleep? Anybody experience lights? They call it thought forms or anything like that. And you go to lay down to sleep, close your eyes, you know.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Good, good, good. Heidi?
You experience any lights?
Yeah, do you see lights, thought forms, colors? You know, just close your eyes for a moment. Okay. That's exactly what he's talking about with Metatron in these colors. It's a passage. You go through these different intensities, or these different rings, or these different dimensions, but it's a passage. When we move from this realm to the next, we go through a passage. It's written about. Some people express it as a tunnel with a light. Go to the light. And then when you get to the light, they ask you for your valet ticket. But
You get smacked on your shoulder upside down, smacked on your bottom.
so does this make sense to you?
No, but down the road it will.
Okay, so what doesn't make sense?
Like I said, you scramble my brain.
But I wasn't trying
Her
to.
talk does. Because I know it might have been lessons from a couple of years ago, you were talking about Sophia,
Yeah,
wisdom,
yeah,
and from Sophia sprang God, but it wasn't God because God had made Sophia, Sophia made God, and that is who created Eden, the earth, and all that stuff. So that could be that lesser Yahweh.
yes,
So, which
yes.
is, you can't gaze, and this is where I'm gonna put my opinion in and then he skipped over anyway. It's like you can't look at the sun. If you wanna look at the sun, you have to look at a puddle of water. and see the reflection of the sun. We have to put a box over your head and hold it. You wanna watch the eclipse. Solar eclipse. And we forget that we're looking at a reflection. Reflection is mirrored backwards.
Would you like me to put it to you in very plain language?
Sure.
We are the lesser Yahweh. We are the lesser God.
Okay.
We are the archons. We are the ones who create this reality.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. This is the sun universe that he'll be talking about throughout the seventh key. The physical realm, us, we are that. And we are also light beings, as he expressed earlier. We are potential lords of light because we have souls, and our souls are what? Light.
I'm gonna give a testimony on that. It was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks. One of my spirit guys came through you, and you were describing what he was showing me, and he was showing me the trap door.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yes.
Okay, trap door. Oh my God, I'm walking into a trap. A few days later, I was thinking about that quite a bit, and something started coming up. Well, you know what can happen? What will happen when you open that trap door? What pours out? Light. It's been there all the time, and we didn't know it. I'm starting to get chills thinking about it. It's your interpretation. First thing I said was, "Oh, trouble, walking into a trap." That's when the light pours out.
Exactly. Exactly. So does this just make sense to you now? A little more than before? It's
Yep.
these different intensities that we go through when we move from being this entirely and move into being that Lord of light. It's that passage. We have active energy and receptive energy, initiation and completion. But they tell us nothing about the mystery which lies between, which is the passage. That's why we get so confused, because we're either starting something or we're finishing something, and we never ever think about the journey, the passage, what lies between. They call it sometimes the bridal chamber. In the bridal chamber, what happens in the bridal chamber? We're all adults. Sex. And what is sex about? It's initiation and completion. That's what it's about. As adults, we think about how we can get it on, and we think about, oh, wow, how it felt. But we very seldom do we consider the in-between. Why? Because we're too busy being engaged. And that's what life is about. The mystery of life is engagement. So I'm going to wrap that up just like that. Sandy, would you like to offer any thoughts? And the only reason I called on you first this time is because I don't want to forget you, because I'm looking out and I see everybody here.
There was just one thing I wanted to just ask about when, and then you kind of answered it about the lesser God or Yahweh, and we are the lesser God. But do you think that that is the two aspects of the same power?
Absolutely.
That's what I was going to say before, but I just wanted to run that by you.
See, the thing is with us humans is we like things clear cut. It's either this or it's that. Because things appear to be so simple for us if we can do that. but it's not. Everything is messy. Life is messy. And why is it messy? Because they're together. They're together. And when we stop fighting this, well, it's got to be this or that. We're trying to pull it apart.
Mhm.
When, if we can just accept, that's why the Buddhists teach, let go. Release. You want to end your suffering? Release what's causing it. Or as Aher did, ravage the field.
Mhm.
Good job, Sandy. Good job.
Thank you.
So you're teaching next week?
Ah! Oh, no. Oh, my gosh, that's funny.
Any thoughts, Ken? Any last thoughts? Dissertations?
I'll let Beth do it. Beth did a better job.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, in that case, any thoughts, Heidi? Did this make sense for you?
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess I like what you're saying, learning how to let go. And I know that's something myself personally, I definitely struggle with. You know, like painful memories and things that have happened and really hurt my feelings and hurt me physically and things like that. And learning how to let go is something that's so straight.
It's a continual struggle. I'm right there with you. I know better, and I still hold on to stuff. I know better. Okay, Beth, you're on.
Oh, no, I'm done.
No last thoughts? All right. So let me wrap this up with this last sentence here. Earlier, Reverend Thomas spoke to us about Owen Waters' theory of densities. Many writings exist that speak of frequencies as various lights in the form of a ladder, a stairway, tree, densities, rings, and more. Metatron, who receives us as we go through the gates of Orion from this sun universe into the Father universe of the Elohim Creators, may be another way of describing this same concept, a passageway or method of travel between this realm and another. Metatron may be similar to Charon, ferrying the departed, or Anubis, guiding them to the beautiful west.
Or wormhole.
Or a wormhole. Yes, I was just watching Farscape just the other night. A wormhole, I like that. Cool. Or Stargate.
Mhm.
So I want to thank all of you for your participation. It's so much nicer when you add to the richness. Thank you.